Hi, I'm Chuck Myron,
And I'm his wife, Taryn Myron.
and we're married to Saturdays.
Married Saturdays.
Much better than being married to Friday nights.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're here, in fact, to talk about Friday night and Florida State's loss to Virginia in double overtime.
Yes, we're coming to you with a very special reaction to Florida State's upset loss against Virginia last night in double overtime.
Well, look, it started off with Virginia going up 14-0. There were some turnovers, some penalties against Florida State, and it looked to me like they just weren't ready to play in that game.
Overall, yes, you are right. I have to say, you did make me feel a little better last night when you told me what Rob told you last year when Tennessee played Vanderbilt, when Vanderbilt went up 14-0 and you were worried, and Rob said to you, hey, don't worry. Vanderbilt's going to get their 14 points and Tennessee will score the rest, and you'll forget that Vanderbilt was even up 14-0. That absolutely was the case last year in the Tennessee game. Unfortunately, not the case last night. You're right. We started off with some penalties, some turnovers. Tommy Castellanos threw it was a pick on the tip ball. And Virginia took advantage of our mistakes last night, and we weren't looking to that game. We were looking ahead to Miami. I even read something where they talked to Tommy Castellanos yesterday before the Virginia game, and all he could talk about was Miami. He was making comparisons between Carson Beck and Cam Ward and himself and Cam Ward. So that tells me he was not ready. He's the leader of that offense. The offense was not ready. Even though after they got over that hump of being down 14-0, I felt the offense played moderately well. I really think the biggest problem last night was the defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the weakness was on that team, and they got exposed. I think, obviously, look, the offense struggled early on with those mistakes and penalties, but they got going. You saw with Castellanos and Robinson and Pittman with the great catches they made.
Yes.
All throughout that game. Look, Virginia kept coming offensively, and Florida State consistently had an answer.
Yes, and don't forget, as far as offense goes, don't forget Sawchuk with the runs and Chroma with the runs. They both did very well last night.
But look, let's talk about Florida State's defense because there were some breakdowns going on all game.
Yes, there was supposed to be an airtight defense. Of course, they've only been tested once against Alabama. So I think this really exposed the holes in our defense. I think Coach White and his team need to go back, and now they know what to fix. Now they know what to clean up. But let's talk about that defense a little bit. They didn't play well. One of the things that bothered me the most last night was the Virginia quarterback's hand was hurt, and it was very obvious. They did 12 straight running plays, and we didn't stop them on any of those 12 running plays. How do we not know that they're going to run every single time until the quarterback's hand feels better? I mean, that was just bad coaching, I believe. I believe we were preparing for the pass when he couldn't even throw the ball. Also, I think overall, when the defense played 3-on-3, the 3-3, it was better. The defense played better most of the time. So maybe that's something, if I was on the Florida State staff, which I'm not, but if I was, I would say, maybe you should think about doing more, 3-3 defense schemes going forward. So I thought they did in that, when they played that way, they did better most of the time. So I think the biggest hole right now is our defense.
Well, so yeah, no, because you and I were talking throughout the game, they were going back and forth between a 4-2 and a 3-3.
Yes.
And when they were in the 3-3, they were a little bit more successful.
Yes.
Not so much in the second half, but it just seemed like that was better containing Virginia's offense, especially in the first half.
Yes.
And look, Virginia could not throw the ball down the field. They tried a couple of times. They did not successfully do that. Right. And so it makes you wonder. So Florida State was in dime coverage the whole game.
Right.
So why not adjust out of that?
Right.
Just just go with 4 defensive backs, maybe even pull and go to a 4-3, and then look. You're disguising where that 4th man is going to come. Maybe a 5th man comes. You're letting your corners who played well they're letting them do their job.
Right.
Well, you have more people up to support the run, to play
Yes.
against the run.
Yes.
More people up to play those middle range passes that the linebackers should be defending. So
Yes.
this, I thought there were some schematic things that went wrong for Florida State, but also they just got beat at the line of scrimmage. That was what I think is most concerning to me
Yes.
about that, is they did not look good, especially in that second half, because it looked like that speed, the tempo of Virginia gave them problems.
Right. And now we have to think, is Virginia a better team than we all thought? Because they only lost to NC State on a last-second touchdown play. So that's something we have to look at for the future. And I've been a Florida State fan my whole life. We're not going to say how long that's been, but I've been a Florida State fan my whole life. I grew up watching Florida State with my dad and my brothers, and I've loved Florida State ever since. But historically, we do not play well on Thursdays. We do not play well on Fridays. Some of our biggest losses have come on Thursdays and Fridays. Some of our biggest upset losses historically. So I don't like Friday night games. I don't like Thursday night games for that reason.
Yeah, it seems like, well, every 30 years, Florida State goes to Virginia at night and loses in an upset fashion.
Yes.
So, look, I think this is something, that obviously proved a couple of things. Look, Florida State has some flaws defensively.
Yes.
And Virginia's a pretty good team. That is a look, that offense was in control of the game. They had long drives.
Yes.
They that tempo obviously really bothered Florida State, and they're not going to be the only ones to be bothered by that.
Exactly.
So look, Virginia is a team. They've got a very easy schedule the rest of the way, very manageable.
Yes.
Don't be surprised when we see Virginia in that ACC title race at the end of the year, because
Absolutely.
they don't play Miami, they don't play Clemson, they don't play Georgia Tech. They beat Florida State. So think about Virginia possibly as an ACC championship game team when we get to that end of the year.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I'm really interested to see what happens the rest of the season for Florida State, what happens for Virginia, and we're going to have a full breakdown of all of these games this season. But again, it just boils down to Florida State wasn't ready.
They weren't ready, and that's the thing, is Virginia played a really clean game. That was what tripped them up against NC State. Was they did not play a clean game. Had 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and they got a bunch of penalties in that game.
Yes.
Really, we're not. I think they have one penalty all game
Right.
across 2 overtimes. So look, Virginia is good. Florida State now wounded, but not mortally so. They have an opportunity to go play Miami. They're going to be underdogs, but they're going to be mad underdogs.
And they're going to be at home. And also, I just want to point out, before last night's game, Florida State and Virginia were the top 2 offenses in the conference.
Yeah, Florida State is actually the top offense in the country.
Exactly.
So
many thanks to Kent State and to East Texas A&M for that reason.
See that, and you got to take those early season stats with a grain of salt,
right?
Because the competition, it's just not there until you get to this part of the season. So
the pressure is on Alabama today to beat Georgia for Florida State fans.
Right, exactly. Then we think about maybe that game a little bit different depending on how they do against Georgia.
Yes.
So anyway, lots to break down. A great Saturday ahead. Let's enjoy it, and we'll be back here on Married to Saturdays. Subscribe,
and then
you'll get our next episode right to you.